Obviously, proud that our team was able to go get a road win and a convincing win in a lot of ways. But obviously, if you saw that game, there's a lot left to work on. Continuing to take care of the ball better. We've got a block, and we really were closer to even have a bigger game in the run game. We got to finish blocks. We got to finish tackles. We had some of that, and avoid giving up explosive plays. And the reason I'm saying all that, it kind of leads to this week. We're playing a really, really good North Carolina State team, well coached. All three phases, they know how to win football games. They play really well in the kicking game. They're very aggressive on defense. Since the Virginia Tech game, they have really been, they've had a mentality, they're physical, they tackle well, they play well together. Very impressive defensive team, and with Larry settling in at quarterback is certainly and two really outstanding backs and a big physical offensive line and receivers that can play. So this is a complete football team. With that said, we need to play a complete game, and we know we're capable. In all five of our games, we've had moments where we've played really good football. The thing we have to continue to do, and our team will do this. We're working really hard at practice. They're doing everything we ask them to do, but we need to put together a complete game, and it couldn't be a better week to do that than this one. So I'll take your questions.
All right, let's go to Jim Sumner.
David, talking about NC State, they've been putting some points on the board. What specifically are they doing well on offense, and how does Duke count on that?
Well, they're balanced on offense. They do a great job of mixing things up, but run and pass, great balance. That's one of the greatest elements you can have offensively. They can throw it. They've got receivers, as I mentioned. They're protecting the quarterback well. He's playing really well. And then Person and Knight are both outstanding backs. We watched them play when they were in high school, and they run the football. And they run the ball a variety of different ways, but they're well coached. Their scheme is good. What we have to do defensively is we've got to be complete. You have to try to stop the run, and everybody in football says it. It's much easier to say it than it is to do it, but we've got to do a tremendous job of being in gaps. We've got to do a tremendous job of trying to whip blocks, and you got to stop run game before it really gets started. And then outside of that, hopefully you have to be able to apply some pressure on the quarterback. So it's a combination of things defensively that you have to do to stop a very balanced offensive team.
You mentioned explosives earlier. Syracuse didn't have much in the way of sustained offensive Saturday, but they hit a couple of explosives. State has been able to do that. How do you limit the big plays?
Well, you first of all in the passing game, again, you rush the passer. You can't let people hold the ball. Secondly, you got to keep the ball in front of you as well as you can. But matchups sometimes get in the way of that, and we're a very aggressive defensive team with a lot of man coverage. And when you do that, you've got to be a great technique team, but you also have to limit, as I said, the amount of time a quarterback has to hold the ball, to throw it down the field.
Let's go to Aaron Beard.
Hey, David, we've heard you talk about you guys were so close and being Groundhog Day over and over after a loss. I guess how much of a difference is there when, maybe some of these things you've been telling them about were so close, now you've broken through and gotten a win, how much that can help your guys going forward?
Well, it should help us a great deal. What I'm anxious to see as we move each day back to practice is, does it make practice better? We'll have the same format that we've had the last couple of weeks. We've kind of altered some of the practice. I'm anxious to see if we finish better. You should be more motivated than ever as an offensive lineman. You should be more motivated than ever when you're covering a kick. We've had some real good highlight moments on defense. We should be more motivated, but it's not Saturday that I'm talking about. I'm talking about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, through the week of preparation. So I expect our team will be excited to work and prepare and understand how big the challenge is this week, but that remains to be seen. But I expect that we will.
Let's go to JB Riggs.
Hey, Coach. Thanks so much for taking out the time. My question for you today is, how different will it be preparing for this in-state foe coming off of a win compared to, still being winless, which you guys were able to take care of this past weekend?
Well, I think when you have two teams coming off big conference wins, that always increases the intensity. It increases the value of the next game, in all honesty. So I think right now where we are is I think our will to prepare has been outstanding. I want to see it even go up another notch. And when you win, it should increase hunger rather than decrease hunger. So let's see where it heads this week.
Thank you.
Let's go to Jake Piazza.
Hi, Coach. So I know Chris and Victor get a lot of love and attention for their play on the D line, and rightfully so. But I'm curious about when you have a guy like Derek Tangelo playing like he did this weekend. How excited are you as a coach in seeing how high that ceiling of your defensive line can go when you have such a strong interior presence now with Derek on the inside?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question. When I got on the plane early, and I had a coach behind me. I said, I was doing some work. I said, don't let Tangelo pass me if I don't see him. And the reason is that I wanted to tell Derek he had an impact in that game. An interior defensive lineman can be a disruptor much faster than an edge guy because they can do it consistently on every play in the run game. And I thought he's healthier than he's been, and I thought he played terrific in the game. And what I told Derek, I said, Derek, awesome. Build off of it. Understand how explosive you are and can be, and let's see where we can take this. It's got to become you. It's got to be the consistent thing that we see from you. So I felt the same way you did after the ball game.
Let's go to Madeline Coleman.
Hi, Coach. I've got 2 questions for you. The first one is, would you like to play NC State every year since you're both right here in the Triangle?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great thing, but at the same time, it's not really something that you can do from an ACC standpoint when you have 14 teams and divisions. They're not going to let us. We're going to play. We have Wake every year. We have North Carolina, which is in our division. I don't think they're going to let us both not have a travel opportunity. The rest of the league would probably throw their hands up on that one. But I said this earlier today, talking with someone, with the midst of what we're in, we have no idea what next year is going to look like. We may be playing 9 or 10 conference games every year. That may be what TV wants to see. So in that environment, it would likely have a better chance of happening.
What are some of the pros and cons of not playing state every season?
Well, obviously, I think fans is probably where it falls. I think fans would love to see that old-fashioned rivalry where we've been around in the ACC forever, but football has changed. And so, as I said, the cons would be the rest of the league would be pretty upset that if we had the proximity games that we have Virginia Tech in our division, and then if you were playing NC State, Carolina, and Wake, they would just view that as a negative if you're in Louisville or you're Syracuse or you're Miami or any other of the number of the teams in our league.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Rob McLam.
Hello, David. This is a little off topic, but I know for years I saw you in the Yo building. You were working out while you studied for opponents. How is your health doing, and how has that become sort of a lifestyle for you now? I know it's been a long time that you've taken care of yourself. How have you made that a lifestyle? Is it now your normal?
It is definitely my normal. It's funny you asked that. I was in here really early this morning, and I have to do a combination of things, but I got to set up where I have film going at the same time of whatever exercises I'm doing, whether it's riding a bike, whether it's doing push-ups or calisthenics. And so it maybe gives me more motivation, but I'm kind of become a 7-day-a-week person, and I would recommend it to anyone. And what I find out is if I put it first on my calendar, then no one can take it away. My calendar tends to change when other people come around. And so when I have it when no one else is here and I have control of that calendar and I put exercise and just write David Cutcliffe on it, then I'm a much better person the rest of the day when I have that out of the way.
All right, let's go back to Aaron Beard.
David, I wanted to piggyback on Madeline's question about playing NC State so, every few years. I asked Coach Dorn about this, and he said, obviously you don't have like the year-to-year carryover you would with, say, North Carolina, you play every year. But he said even then he watched what you guys did, from being in the area. I'm just curious, from maybe you don't have an official scouting job that you guys have done on NC State every year, but how much have you watched what they do?
Oh, I see them on tape all the time. Very familiar with their players. Dave Dorn's a good friend. I think he's a great football coach. So I try to watch all of the things they're doing. But, as I'm watching common opponents, you're always looking at them. And I'm following players that, we may have recruited when they were in high school that you got close to. And I pull for them, when we're not playing each other. So, yeah, you're gonna keep up with what's happening with your neighbors, and that's essentially what they are.
All right, let's go back to Jim Sumner.
David, obviously Duke's successful run game was one of the big stories. Saturday we were talking to Deion Jackson after the game, and he totally unprompted went out of his way to praise the wide receivers for their blocking, which is not something we talk very much about. But how big of a component has that been in Duke's improved ground game?
Well, if you're going to play for Trooper Taylor, you're going to block if you're a wide receiver. No block, no ball. It's that simple. So I am very proud of those guys. It's become important to them. It's a habit at practice. It is such a consistent habit at practice that when I watch practice tape, it puts a smile on my face to see how important it's become to that receiving core. And it's not one of them, it's all of them. And I hadn't heard that Deion said that, but I'm really proud of him for mentioning that.
All right, let's go back to Rob McClam. That's all right. Just take your hand down. You win the Aaron Beard Award for today. That's okay. Let's go back to Jake Piazza.
Hi, Coach. Just from watching the past few games, noticed that it's been a bit of a shuffle with who's returning punts and kickoffs, and I'm just curious as to kind of what's going on with deciding who to stick back there.
Right. Well, Deion's been a little beat up is the kickoff return circumstance. And then when we lost Josh Blackwell, just trying to make it all work with Jalen Calhoun. Jake Bobo's been a little beat up as well. And so we wanted to look at John Tavis, and I was encouraged by his first appearance back there. And he's an extremely gifted runner as well. So when you lose your starter, it sometimes takes a little bit to settle in. And then Jalen Stinson is a really dynamic kick-off return man himself. And I think he's got a chance at being terrific. And so right now, until Damon gets back to being full speed, I would expect that you're going to see 16 back there.